Let's talk about what actually constitutes an ask. So, a lot of folks think if you just say, "Will you consider giving a gift this year?" that they have asked the prospect. That is not the case. In by my criteria, which includes 20 years of fundraising experience, I'm a CFRE or certified fundraising executive and a consultant with numerous different institutions. An ask is constituted by three things. First, you have to have a specific dollar amount. You can't ask someone to consider. Conditional language is a no-no. Um, they're not considering a gift. You want them to give a gift. And you want them to give a gift of a specific amount. Because if they say no to giving in general, if you leave your ask general and unspecific, then they've said no. There's no place to go from there. So, but if you are asking for a specific amount, then you can begin a negotiation process so that if they're not comfortable with that specific level, you can figure out what level they might be comfortable at. And you can end up walking away with nothing if you use conditional language or unspecific ask amounts, whereas you are more likely to walk away with something when you have a specific ask. So the first element is a dollar amount, with 1B being avoid conditional language. Part two is you need a question. So you can't just say, "We would really love you to give a gift of $100,000 over the next 5 years." That's a statement. It's not a question. What is the donor supposed to do from there? That's not conversationally, it's not a trigger for them to respond. You want to make sure, will you help out our annual fund this year by making a multi year pledge of $100,000 over the next 5 years? That's an ask. And the third element is a pause. Don't say anything after you have asked the question that contains a specific dollar amount, because what you want to be able to do is gauge whatever the donor says next and make sure that that is their genuine reaction. So if the very next thing out of their mouth is, "Well, I need to talk to my wife," or "I need to talk to my husband," or "I need to talk to my accountant," then you're going to know that they need more time, they need more information, and they need to go see something about their specific situation. If their follow up seems hesitant, as though you've asked them for too much, you know that now's the time to start to negotiate to a level they're more comfortable with. If they follow up with questions about, "Well, what about stock or an IRA rollover?" then you know what to do next. If they have a very negative reaction that might show that they don't quite trust the organization yet, or you haven't spent enough time in the relationship building phase and educating them about your mission and values and the work that you do, then you're going to need to back up and you're going to need to fill those steps in before you ask again. But if you jump in before they have a chance to respond and you say, "Or 50,000 would be okay," or we could also split the designation between scholarships and annual fund. Don't offer up alternatives before you've heard their reaction. And it's a very human impulse to fill that space, to fill the dead air. But you need to give your donor space to respond genuinely. And you need to give yourself the opportunity to read that response accurately so that you know what to do next. If you fill the space and you jump in and fill that dead air, you're leading the prospect somewhere and you're not getting their genuine concerns. You're not getting a full read on their actual concerns. So, again, to recap, you've got to have an ask amount, a specific dollar amount. You've got to ask a question so the donor knows that they are now required to respond to what you've proposed. And you need to leave that empty space after the ask, pause and listen. Pause and listen. And also, always avoid that unconditional language. It will absolutely bite you. So make sure you're doing those things when you are actually making an ask, and you will have greater success.